declaration of victory yet, but the numbers tell us it's clear, tell us a clear and convincing story. We're going to win this race.
If all this wasn't enough, in Antrim County, ballots were counted for Democrats that were meant for Republicans.
Just look at what has happened since yesterday. 24 hours. We were behind in Georgia. Now we're ahead.
Let's stamp it, received, and let's fill in our 6 blanks.
All at the top of the tickets on each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a security guard right there who's watching her. The cops are in on it. Disgusting.
And we're going to win that state. 24 hours ago, we were behind in Pennsylvania, and we are going to win Pennsylvania.
My name is Brian McCaffrey. I'm a registered Democrat in the city of Philadelphia. Today, I'm at the Philadelphia Convention Center, and I am overseeing the ballot counters. I will let you know the corruption that is going on here. They will not allow us within 30 to 100 feet to supervise the ballots being counted. This is a coup against the President of the United States of America, and I want to call out the Mayor of Philadelphia, James Kenney, the Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, who tweeted that there's no way Donald Trump can win President of the United States of America, and also the District Attorney of Philadelphia, Larry Krasner. I can't believe what I'm seeing right before my eyes. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden or Donald Trump. This has to do with our democracy, and I will tell you, there is corruption at the highest level in the city of Philadelphia.
And now we're ahead, but we're winning in Arizona, we're winning in Nevada, and in fact, our lead just doubled in Nevada. We're on track to over 300 electoral votes, electoral college votes. And look at the national numbers.
To them, because you see what's happening in the polls? Everybody said, that's really bullshit.
We're going to win this race with a clear majority of the nation behind us. We've gotten over 74 million votes. Let me repeat that, 74 million votes. That's more than any presidential ticket has ever gotten in the history of the United States of America. And our vote total is still growing. We're beating Donald Trump by over 4 million votes. You guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. And that's a margin that's still growing as well. One of the things I'm especially proud of is how well we've done across America. And we're going to be the first Democrat to win in Arizona in 24 years.
Tell us where you work.
I work in the Traverse City Post Office, more specifically the Barlow branch.
Your boss told you and your colleagues something that shocked you this morning. What was it?
We were issued a directive this morning to collect any ballots we find in mailboxes, collection boxes, just outgoing mail in general, separate them at the end of the day so that they could hand stamp them with the previous day's date. Today is November 4th, for clarification.
We're going to be the first Democrat to win Georgia in 28 years, and we've rebuilt the blue wall.
It's unbelievable, it's hilarious, but it's also incredibly scary. This is a really important election. You cannot overstate how ghastly Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would be if they were in the White House on so many levels. Trump's going to win in a landslide. I agree with Corey. It will be over 300. I would have said even 310, 320 in the Electoral College, because the American people are intelligent. They are not stupid. They're not going to vote that clown in. And just the sheer humor of seeing Jill Biden prodding him to remind him of the Trump. It's just too good. And come on, this stuff gets out to middle America. They see it. The media can do all the tricks in the world to hide it. People see it.
In the middle of the country that crumbled just 4 years ago. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, the heartland of this nation. I know watching these vote tallies on TV moves very slow, and as slow as it goes, it can be numbing.
This, okay? What about this for the soft touches? The media is desperately trying to sort of hold this bloke up until eventually the corpse falls over the line and then they can yank him out and replace him with Harris. Now, as you know, there is no Russian misinformation. The Hunter Biden laptop exists and his lawyers tried to get it back. The central claim of it was that the monies that were coming in from foreign powers, 10% of it went back to the big guy. The big guy is Joe. That's the claim. But this was the question to Biden. Could you imagine softer?
Do you believe the recent leak of material allegedly from Hunter's computer is part of a Russian disinformation campaign?
It's not part of a Russian information campaign. But what about this? As you know, the media desperately not wanting to report this story, anything fake, anything made up, anything scandalous about Trump. We'll talk about it for weeks and days. Literally online today, they're speculating whether Melania Trump has body doubles. That bullshit can run. This genuine stuff doesn't. This was a fair dinkum quote from somebody trying to say, essentially, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. We have to pretend it's not true. This bloke says, we must treat the Hunter Biden leaks as if they were as if they were a foreign intelligence operation, even if they probably aren't. That is run in the main newspapers. It's unbelievable what is happening here.
But never forget, the tallies aren't just numbers. They represent votes and voters, men and women who exercise their fundamental right to have their voice heard.
These people have an agenda. And their agenda, one of the things, is to get rid of the church. To get rid of the church. To have abortion on demand. To the promotion of all things LGBTQ. You know, Kamala Harris, she's running for the vice presidency. I call her Miss Lock Up a Brother, for when she was the AG in California, a Negro knew, a black man knew that he was dead in the water. He was dead in the water. Matter of fact, you don't need a trial. You might as well go into jail if you appear before her, because she took pride in locking up black folk. And now all of a sudden she's trying to be sister girl. I'm telling it. Check out her record. She locked us up left and right. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, you did, Kamala, however I should pronounce it. You did. And now we're supposed to forget all that stuff. I like what Maya Angelou says. She said, when the people show you who they are, believe them. That's Kamala. And let me tell you, anybody who's trying to turn America into Sodom and Gomorrah is not good for the nation, she's not good for the state, and she ain't good for black folk. We need husbands and wives. We need fathers. We need mothers. Men born male, women born female. We need real people. Ow! Somebody.
And what's becoming clear each hour is that record number of Americans of all races, faiths, religions chose change over more of the same. They've given us a mandate for action on COVID, the economy, climate change, systemic racism. They made it clear they want the country to come together, not continue to pull apart. The people spoke.
Everybody was saying all these different things when he entered the ring to defend America, the principles of freedom, justice, and equality, and to be able to give the government back to the people, we the people. And 14 million votes later, and after beating 17 opponents, we let 16 go because we don't want to be braggadocious. You know? So he now is the nominee. Now you got to understand something. The party doesn't want him. The system doesn't want him. The lying politicians doesn't want him. And you got to understand that he's here by the will of the people. And to God. And God is in all things. All things. So, I'm asking. I love you. I love you. And it means so much to me for a man that is walking in the shoes. You know what I mean? When they say what the guy was carrying you, God was carrying you, or no, God was walking with you, they said, but I don't see even one set of footprints.
More than 74 million Americans, and they spoke loudly for our ticket. But while we're waiting for the final results, I want people to know we're not waiting to get the work done and start the process. Yesterday, Senator Harris and I held meetings with groups of experts on public health and the economic crisis this country is facing. The pandemic, as you also know, is getting more worrisome all across the country. Daily cases are skyrocketing, and it's now believed that we could see as many as 200,000 cases in a single day. The death toll is approaching 240,000 lives lost to this virus. That's 240,000 empty chairs, kitchen tables, and dining room tables all across America. We'll never be able to measure all that pain and the loss, the suffering that so many families have experienced. We know something about what it feels like to lose someone. And I want them to know they're not alone. Our hearts break with you. I want everyone to know on day one, we're going to put our plan to control this virus into action. We can't save any of the lives lost, any of those have been lost, but we can save a lot of lives. In the months ahead. Senator Harris and I also heard yesterday about how this recovery is slowing because of the failure to get the pandemic under control. More than 20 million people are on unemployment. Millions are worried about making rent and putting food on the table. Our economic plan will put a focus on a path to a strong recovery.
The Obama recovery of the last 7 years remains the worst in post-war American history. Average gross domestic product, GDP, growth since the bottom of the recession in 2009 was barely above 2.1% per year. The average since 1949 is well above 4% per year during the previous 10 expansions. Post-World War II period.
Note: economic expansions as identified by the National Bureau of Economic Research. This result is not just bad, it is catastrophic. The average American should not be wondering if his or her income is a bit above or below 2007 levels. Just by historical averages, the average American should be 20% better off than in 2007. And this slow growth is settling in as a permanent new abnormal. I believe the root cause of abysmal growth is the huge tax increases imposed by Obama and the Democrats in Congress since 2008. The most harmful were the increase in the capital gains tax from 15 to 20%, the increase in top bracket income from 35 to 39.6%, and the new tax of 3.8% on investment income in the Affordable Care Act, ACA. The massive increase in regulatory burden through the ACA and Dodd-Frank bills are also crushing, but unfortunately are harder to measure. The 13.4 percentage point tax increases mentioned above, plus higher state and local taxes, directly lower expected returns on all investments by the same amount. Our government grabs the fruits of investment, and then is puzzled that businesses do not invest. This causes billions of dollars of investment projects to come off the table. That is precisely what happens. Weak investment is the signature feature and cause of the abysmal Obama recovery. The aggregate of all investments in the United States is net private domestic investment computed by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Relative to GDP, net private domestic investment, NPDI, was 7% per year from 1960 to 2008. That average was 7 to 8% from 1960 to 1990, and 6.5% in the Clinton and Bush W. years. But for the Obama years, NPDI was an astoundingly low 2% of GDP. Every single Obama year but 2015 was worse than any year from 1960 to his inauguration. This isn't bad luck. If nothing changed in the economy, the likelihood of having a period as bad as Obama's just by chance was 1 out of 1,000. The numbers for GDP and NPDI are interesting but still just lifeless statistics. The human toll is terrible. This comes in the form of teary-eyed parents telling their children there may not be much of a vacation this year or next, and there may not be many gifts under the Christmas tree this year. Horribly low investment is the predictable result of taxing investment and income at high rates. This terrible economic performance will continue until income and investment taxes are slashed. The government can still raise needed revenue with a broad-based approach, eliminating all the special deductions and credits and allowing very low rates. On the other hand, the sharply higher rates, a veritable bonanza of complexity for tax lawyers, and thousands more special deals in the proposals of President Obama's anointed successor, Hillary Clinton, will predictably entrench lackluster investment and stagnant incomes.
Look, we both know tensions are high. They can be high after a tough election, one like we've had. But we need to remember, we have to remain calm.
I want to make clear that I know that there are protests still happening in
Yes.
major cities across the United States. I'm just not seeing the reporting on it that I
Right,
had
that's right.
for the first few weeks.
That's right. But they're not
now,
going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
Patient. Let the process work out as we count all the votes. You know, we're proving again what we've proved for 244 years in this country. Democracy works. Your vote will be counted. I don't care how hard people try to stop it. I will not let it happen. I don't only need you to get me elected, I need you once I'm elected. Folks, we got a lot of work to do. I don't only need you to get me elected, I need you once I'm elected. The people will be heard. Our journey is toward a more perfect union, and it keeps moving on. In America, we hold strong views. We have strong disagreements, and that's okay. Strong disagreements are inevitable in a democracy, and strong disagreements are healthy. They're a sign of a vigorous debate, of deeply held views. But we have to remember, the purpose of our politics isn't total, unrelenting, unending warfare. No, the purpose of our politics, the work of the nation, isn't to fan the flames of conflict. But to solve problems, to guarantee justice, to give everybody a fair shot, and to improve the lives of our people. We may be opponents, but we're not enemies. We're Americans. No matter who you voted for, I'm certain of one thing. The vast majority of almost 150 million Americans who voted, they want to get the vitriol out of our politics. We're certainly not going to agree on a lot of issues, but at least we can agree to be civil with one another. We have to put the anger and the demonization behind us.
Levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
It's time for us to come together as a nation to heal. It's not going to be easy, but we have to try. My responsibility as president will be to represent the whole nation. And I want you to know that I'll work as hard for those who voted against me as those who voted for me. That's the job. That's the job. It's called the duty of care for all Americans. We have serious problems to deal with, from COVID to the economy to racial justice to climate change. We don't have any more time to waste on partisan warfare. You know, and more than that, we have such an incredible opportunity to build the future we want for our kids and our grandkids. I've said many, many times, I've never been more optimistic about the future of this nation. There is no reason we can't own the 21st century. We just need to remember who we are. This is the United States of America. And there's never been anything we've been unable to do, unable to accomplish when we've done it together. I hope to be talking to you tomorrow. I want to thank you all, and may God bless you, and may God protect our troops. And I want you to know, notwithstanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And two, I appointed Johnson to the Academy. I just want you to know that. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard. Good night.